Alright, gamers, you know the drill. We've all played games that just click, right? The ones that have everything, amazing gameplay, killer stories, and yeah, graphics that make you stop and stare. So today, we're talking about 20 games that straight up earned a perfect 10/10. I'm talking the best of the best. Stick around, and let's see if your all-time favorite made the cut. First up, we've got Black Myth: Wukong. Now, this one is already making waves, and for good reason. Based on Chinese folklore, this action RPG lets you play as the legendary Monkey King. The combat is a perfect mix of fast and brutal, plus you can transform into animals and use magic to take down enemies. The graphics, absolutely jaw-dropping. This game looks like it's pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. But it's not just about looking good. The gameplay promises deep combat and an epic story. If this game delivers, it's going to be a classic. From a game about mythical creatures to something a little darker, let's talk about Bloodborne. Speaking of dark and mysterious, Bloodborne is the next one on our list. It's a gothic horror masterpiece that isn't afraid to make you work for every victory. The combat is fast, aggressive, and rewarding, which is perfect for players who love a challenge. The story? Well, it's full of cryptic lore that keeps you on your toes, unraveling a twisted tale about nightmares and forbidden knowledge. The graphics aren't the most modern anymore, but the art style and atmospheric design hold up brilliantly. It's not about flashy visuals, it's about creating a world that's hauntingly immersive. Now, if you thought Bloodborne was tough, wait until you try Sekiro. Alright, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is where the real challenge begins. Set in feudal Japan, you play as a shinobi hunting down enemies in a world full of danger. The gameplay is all about precision. Every parry, every attack has to be perfect, or you're done. It's punishing, but oh so rewarding. The story is packed with emotion, centering on revenge, honor, and the cost of a warrior's path. Graphics-wise, it's stunning, with landscapes that'll make you stop just to take in the view. But the real magic lies in the gameplay. Nothing feels more satisfying than taking down a boss after a hard-fought battle. From samurai combat to some straight-up superhero action, let's dive into Batman: Arkham City. Now, if you're looking for a game that nails the superhero genre, look no further than Batman: Arkham City. This game takes everything you loved about the first Arkham Asylum and cranks it up to 11. The open-world gameplay is perfect for exploring Gotham, and the combat system makes you feel like Batman himself. The story is a perfect mix of action and intrigue, with iconic villains like the Joker and Two-Face causing chaos. Sure, the graphics might not be as stunning as today's AAA titles, but the atmosphere is so immersive that it doesn't matter. It's the kind of game you can lose yourself in for hours. Now let's keep that action going with one of the best adventure games of all time, Uncharted 4. Next up, Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy are the epitome of action-adventure. Nathan Drake's final chapter is a thrilling ride that blends fast-paced action, heart-pounding moments, and an emotional story about family and redemption. The gameplay? Seamless. Whether you're climbing cliffs, shooting enemies, or solving puzzles, it always feels like you're in control. And Lost Legacy might not have Nathan Drake, but it proves the Uncharted formula works just as well with new characters. The graphics? Top tier. It's the kind of game that makes you forget you're playing on a console and feels like a blockbuster movie in your hands. From treasure hunters to Norse gods, let's talk about God of War. God of War 2018 takes everything you knew about Kratos and gives it a fresh, emotional twist. Now a father, Kratos embarks on a journey through the world of Norse mythology with his son, Atreus. The story is beautifully told with some of the best character development in gaming. The gameplay is a masterclass in combat design, offering brutal yet thoughtful fights. And the graphics? Wow. It's a visual feast, with detailed environments that really bring the world to life. But it's not just about how it looks, it's how it makes you feel. This game is a perfect mix of gameplay, story, and world building. Now, let's shift gears and talk about an RPG that's captured the hearts of fans worldwide, Baldur's Gate 3. Next up, we've got Baldur's Gate 3, and if you're a fan of deep RPGs, this one's a must-play. Based on Dungeons & Dragons, this game lets you create a character and shape the story in ways you've never seen before. Whether you're exploring dungeons, battling monsters, or making tough moral choices, Baldur's Gate 3 gives you the freedom to play how you want. The story is rich with lore, and the characters, you'll get attached to them. The graphics are gorgeous too, making every encounter feel cinematic. If you love a good RPG, this game is a masterpiece. From a deep RPG to a futuristic city, let's dive into Cyberpunk 2077. Alright, Cyberpunk 2077 had its rough start, but it's evolved into something really special. Set in the neon-lit streets of Night City, the story revolves around V, a mercenary looking to carve out their destiny. The open world is massive, and it's filled with so much detail you'll want to explore every corner. The combat is smooth, the narrative engaging, and the characters, especially Johnny Silverhand, are unforgettable. The graphics? Absolutely stunning. Sure, there were some rough edges when it launched, but now, it's one of the best-looking open-world games out there. Alright, let's talk about orcs. Shadow of Mordor doesn't just let you fight them, it lets you mess with their heads. Thanks to the Nemesis system, every battle feels personal. Lose to an orc, they'll remember it, taunt you, and even level up because of it. The gameplay is slick, the combat is addictive, and the story ties into the Lord of the Rings in ways that'll make fans geek out. Sure, it's been a while since it dropped, but trust me, Mordor's dark and gritty vibe still holds up. Now, from dark and gritty to dark and adorable, let's dive into Hollow Knight. Alright, so Hollow Knight might look cute at first, but don't let that fool you. This game's tough as nails. It throws you into the creepy crawly world of Hollow Nest, where exploration is king. The combat is tight, the bosses are unforgettable, and the whole vibe is this perfect mix of eerie and beautiful. Plus, the art style is timeless. Who needs ultra-realistic graphics when a game looks this good? If you're into Metroidvania games, this one's an absolute must. Now let's leave the underground bugs behind and head to a tropical island full of chaos. Time for Far Cry 3. Let me just say it, Far Cry 3 is peak Far Cry. The tropical island setting? Gorgeous. The villain, Voss? Absolute legend. The gameplay hits that sweet spot between stealth, action, and pure mayhem. Whether you're hunting sharks, burning down drug fields, or just messing around, this game nails it. And sure, the graphics show their age a little, but the story and gameplay still slap. It's the kind of game that sucks you in and doesn't let go. Speaking of games that stick with you, let's move to the emotional gut punch that is A Plague Tale Requiem. A Plague Tale, Requiem is a different kind of intense. It's not about flashy combat or huge open worlds, it's about heart. The story of Amicia and Hugo trying to survive in a plague-ridden world is emotional, gripping, and, yeah, sometimes downright stressful. The stealth gameplay keeps you on edge, and the visuals, beautiful and haunting at the same time. It's the kind of game that makes you care deeply about its characters. And trust me, you'll need a box of tissues for this one. Now, let's take a hard left turn into post-apocalyptic chaos with The Last of Us. This game, The Last of Us, isn't just a game, it's an emotional roller coaster. Joel and Ellie's journey through a brutal, broken world is unforgettable. The gameplay hits that perfect balance of tense combat, sneaky stealth, and exploration. The graphics, even now, they still look amazing. But the real star here is the story. It's raw, it's heartbreaking, and it sticks with you long after you've finished. If you haven't played it yet, what are you even doing? Let's keep the emotional vibes going, but add a little samurai flair. Time for Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is straight up stunning. This game nails the samurai vibe, from its epic sword fights to its gorgeous open world. Seriously, every moment feels like it's straight out of a classic samurai movie. The combat? So satisfying. You can go full-on stealthy ninja or face your enemies head-on like a true samurai. The story hits hard too, with themes of honor, loyalty, and sacrifice. And the graphics? Even years later, they're still some of the best in gaming. This is one of those games you just have to experience. Ready to test your patience and skills? Let's get into the brutal yet brilliant world of Dark Souls 3. Alright, Dark Souls 3 isn't here to hold your hand. It's here to kick your butt and make you thank it for the privilege. The combat is precise, every boss fight feels epic, and the world is dripping with atmosphere. Sure, it's tough, but the payoff when you finally beat that boss you've been stuck on? Nothing compares. The graphics might not be cutting edge anymore, but the art direction makes every area look incredible. If you're up for a challenge, this game is a masterpiece. Let's lighten things up a bit with a friendly neighborhood superhero. Time for Marvel's Spider-Man. Maybe I'm going to be a little biased here because, yeah, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I've been waiting for a big-budget Spidey game for what feels like forever. And yes, I've played them all, from Web of Shadows to Shattered Dimensions. Speaking of Web of Shadows, its combat was ahead of its time and honestly, one of the best in any Spider-Man game. But Marvel's Spider-Man took that fluidity and creativity to a whole new level. The web swinging here is pure perfection. You feel like Spider-Man with every swing. The story dives deep into Peter Parker's life, balancing his heroics with personal struggles, and it's packed with emotional moments. Even years later, the graphics are stunning, and NYC feels alive in a way no other game has managed. It's the Spider-Man experience I'd been dreaming of for years. Now, let's leave the skyscrapers behind and dive into the wild, open world of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. If freedom in gaming was a game, it would be Breath of the Wild. This masterpiece doesn't just give you an open world, it gives you a sandbox to play in however you want. Climb anything, cook everything, and get lost in a world that feels alive. The story takes a backseat here, but the gameplay more than makes up for it. And while it's not the most graphically intense game, the art style is timeless and beautiful. You could play this for hours and still feel like you've only scratched the surface. From open world wonder to tactical espionage madness, let's jump into Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 is what happens when stealth and chaos meet in the best way. You've got this huge open world to explore, endless tools and gadgets to play with, and the freedom to approach missions however you want. Go in guns blazing or sneak past everyone like a ghost, it's your call. The story is classic Kojima, complex, weird, and unforgettable. And the graphics, still sharp and detailed, making the deserts and jungles feel alive. If you've ever wanted to feel like a tactical genius, this is your game. Speaking of tactical genius, let's talk about a game that redefined RPGs, The Witcher 3. If you haven't played The Witcher 3 yet, what are you even doing? This is the RPG of RPGs. You play as Geralt, a monster-hunting, sarcastic legend with a knack for getting into trouble. The story is epic, the side quests are better than most main quests in other games, and the gameplay is endlessly satisfying. Toss in some stunning graphics that still hold up and a massive open world to explore, and you've got a game that's as close to perfect as it gets. Now, let's wrap this up with a game that's practically a love letter to the Wild West, Red Dead Redemption 2. This game isn't just a game, it's a whole dang experience. Red Dead Redemption 2 is about living the outlaw life, and it does it with insane attention to detail. The gameplay is slower paced, sure, but that's the point. It immerses you in the world of Arthur Morgan. The story is one of the best in gaming, hands down, with characters you'll grow to love and moments that'll break your heart. And the graphics? Let's just say Rockstar went all out. Every mountain, river, and sunset looks so real, you'll feel like you're actually there. It's a masterpiece, plain and simple. And that's the list, folks. 20 absolute bangers you need to play. Whether you're swinging through New York, exploring the Wild West, or taking on orcs in Mordor, these games prove why they're the cream of the crop. So, did your favorite game make the cut? If not, let us know in the comments what your perfect 10-10 game is. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gaming goodness. Until next time, happy gaming.